You've heard it before, maybe whispered at a funeral, maybe muttered after heartbreak, maybe shouted in defiance through gritted teeth. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. But what if it's not just a comforting phrase? What if it's a truth most of us are too afraid to live? Because suffering, real suffering, isn't poetic. It's raw. It's violent. It strips you down to nerves and breath and questions that don't have answers. There are moments when the weight is so crushing that survival itself feels like an act of rebellion. Moments when you aren't sure if you'll make it through, or if making it through will even matter. And in those moments, Nietzsche's words don't feel like encouragement. They feel like a dare. A dare to believe that beyond the ruins of who you were, something stronger, something fiercer might still rise, not despite the pain, but because of it. Today, we don't just explore the idea that suffering can make us stronger. We confront it. We challenge it. We ask what it really means to endure, to transform, to emerge from the ashes carrying something more than scars. We're not here to glorify pain. We're here to understand its hidden gift and what it demands from us to claim it. This is not survival. This is becoming the raw truth about suffering. Suffering is not beautiful. It does not always ennoble. It does not always inspire. Sometimes, suffering simply breaks you. It empties you. It leaves you gasping for reasons in a universe that stays silent. Nietzsche never romanticized pain. He didn't pretend that hardship was noble by default. He didn't dress up agony in flowery words to make it more bearable. He looked at it directly, unflinching. He saw that suffering in itself does nothing but destroy, unless something deeper meets it. Without meaning, suffering corrodes. Without choice, suffering enslaves. It can make you bitter. It can make you small. It can turn you into a ghost of who you might have been. But, and this but is everything. If you face it, if you step into it with your whole being, if you refuse to let it define your spirit, then suffering becomes something else entirely. It becomes a forge, not a gentle fire, but a brutal, searing crucible that strips away the false, the fragile, the unnecessary. And what remains, if you endure, is not the old self polished up. It's a new self, harder, sharper, more real, not broken, not bowed, but remade. This is the raw truth about suffering. It has the power to destroy, or the power to transform. It does not choose. You do. Nietzsche's vision of strength. To Nietzsche, strength was never about invincibility. It wasn't about being untouched by life's brutality. It wasn't about pretending you don't feel the wounds. Strength, in Nietzsche's world, was the ability to be wounded and still choose to move forward. Not because you were unhurt, but because you were unwilling to be defeated by your own suffering. It's easy to imagine strength as coldness, stoic detachment, the refusal to care. But Nietzsche's vision was fiercer, more dangerous, more alive. True strength, he believed, is the ability to remain fully human, vulnerable, feeling, breaking, and healing, without surrendering the core of your becoming. It's not about hiding your scars. It's about carrying them with a kind of sacred defiance. Not to show the world, look how much I've survived, but to show yourself, I am not the end of my pain. I am the beginning of something larger than it. Strength, in Nietzsche's philosophy, is not resistance to life's cruelty. It's participation in it and transformation through it. It's walking through the fire and not just surviving, but using the fire to forge a soul that is heavier, deeper, more whole. Because in the end, Strength is not what keeps you safe. Strength is what lets you be broken and still somehow choose to build again. When survival becomes transformation. Not everyone who survives becomes stronger. Survival alone is not the victory. There are those who survive, but spend the rest of their lives trapped in the moment that broke them, living with walls built higher, trust pulled tighter, dreams scaled down to fit a world that once hurt them. That is survival without transformation. Nietzsche didn't revere survival for survival's sake. He revered what survival could become if met with courage, reflection, and the fierce willingness to grow. True transformation begins not when the pain ends, but when you refuse to let the pain be the final word. It begins when you ask, what can this suffering teach me about myself? How can this loss carve a deeper strength in me? What can emerge from the ashes if I dare to build again? Transformation is survival elevated into meaning. It's the art of taking what should have ended you and making it the soil from which something astonishing grows. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens by choice. The choice to sit with grief until it tells you something true. The choice to face rage without letting it turn you bitter. The choice to admit you're afraid and move anyway. Because transformation doesn't erase the past, it redeems it. It doesn't deny the scar. It crowns it. You survived. But the deeper question is, who are you willing to become because of it? Common misconceptions about strength. We misunderstand strength all the time. We think strength means being unaffected. We think it looks like silence, stoicism, the refusal to shed a tear. We imagine the strong as those who walk away without flinching, those who never stumble, never doubt, never break. But that's not strength. That's fear disguised as pride. That's armor built around wounds too raw to face. True strength, the kind Nietzsche pointed to, does not come from pretending to be untouchable. It comes from allowing yourself to be touched and still standing taller because of it. Strength is crying without shame. It's breaking and choosing not to live shattered. It's feeling every ounce of fear, rage, loss, and refusing to let it turn you cruel. Strength isn't cold. It isn't detached. It isn't distant. Real strength is warm. It's painfully aware. It's intimacy with your own suffering and compassion for the suffering of others. The strong are not the ones who feel less. They are the ones who feel everything and still choose to hope, still choose to trust, still choose to build. They are not untouched by life. They are shaped by it, like rivers carving canyons through stubborn stone. And in that shaping, in that slow, relentless becoming, they find a power far deeper than invulnerability. They find the ability to live fully, even with their scars. The hidden gift of hardship. Hardship is a violent teacher. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't arrive politely. It kicks down the door of your life and demands your attention. And yet, within its brutality, there is a gift most people never stay long enough to see. Because when life shatters your illusions, you are left with what is real. When everything you thought you needed is stripped away, you discover what you actually can't live without. When the scaffolding of reputation, achievement, and approval falls, you come face to face with the unadorned self. The self that is not propped up by circumstance, but stands naked and unyielding at the center of your being. Hardship peels away the layers, the performance, the pretenses, the hollow ambitions borrowed from other people's dreams. It forces you to ask, if I have nothing left to prove, who am I? And beneath the ashes of old lives, old selves, old expectations, you find a new foundation. One not built on appearance, but on truth. One not crafted by the world, but carved by your own resilience. Nietzsche knew that hardship is not a guarantee of growth. It is merely an invitation to be burned, and to choose, amidst the smoke and ruin, to rise anyway. Because sometimes it's not until everything is taken from you that you realize what can never be taken. And that realization, quiet, indestructible, and yours alone, is the beginning of a different kind of power. Not the power to conquer the world, the power to conquer the self. And Nietzsche would say, is the only victory that ever truly mattered. Inner dialogue. What didn't kill you? Pause for a moment. Close your eyes, if you can, and think back, not to a small inconvenience, not to an ordinary bad day, but to the moment that broke you open. The moment you thought, I won't survive this. Maybe it was loss. Maybe it was betrayal. Maybe it was the quiet unraveling of everything you trusted. Feel it. Let it rise, not to torment you, but to honor the fact that you are still here. Now ask yourself, who did I become because of that moment? Maybe you became quieter. Maybe you became more careful. Maybe you became more tender, more discerning, more fierce. Maybe you lost some illusions, but found something closer to truth. Maybe you learned where your real strength lives, not in the armor you wore, but in the wounds you dared to heal. Think about it. What didn't kill you changed you. The real question is, did it harden you into someone smaller, or did it carve you into someone deeper? There's no shame if it broke you for a while. There's no shame if you're still rebuilding. Strength isn't about never falling. It's about what you choose to build when you stand back up. Ask yourself, what hidden strengths did that pain awaken in me? What parts of me were born because the old parts had to die? Not every scar is visible. Not every survival is loud. But somewhere inside you, there's a part that refused to die. Find it. Listen to it. Let it remind you. You are not here by accident. You are here because you chose to become more. Mini story of inner fortitude. There was a man named Elias. He wasn't famous. He wasn't extraordinary by any external measure. He lived a quiet life until the day everything he built was torn apart. A car accident. A single second that left him paralyzed from the waist down. The dreams he had, the career, the travels, the imagined futures, collapsed overnight. For months, he sank into grief, into anger, into a loneliness that wrapped around him like winter. People tried to encourage him, told him he was strong, told him he was inspiring, but Elias didn't feel strong. He felt erased, until one evening, alone in his hospital room, watching the rain bleed against the window, he realized something simple and devastating. My life as I imagined it is over, but my life itself is not. And in that gap, between what was lost and what remained, he found a new kind of strength. Not the strength to walk again, that dream was gone, but the strength to reimagine what it meant to live. The strength to forgive life for not keeping its promises. The strength to create new promises of his own. Today, Elias paints, not for fame, not for accolades. He paints because his hands still move, because color still calls to him, because he still chooses every morning to create something beautiful in a body the world told him was broken. Elias didn't overcome in the way we like to tell heroic stories. He didn't undo the loss. He built something inside the loss, and that is a strength no tragedy could ever take away. We say it easily, but to live it is something else entirely. To live it means standing inside the fire of your own life and refusing to let it hollow you into bitterness. It means carrying scars you never asked for, without letting them define the boundaries of your hope. It means looking at your broken dreams, your broken heart, your broken body, and whispering, "You will not have the final word over me." It's not about being invincible. It's about being willing. Willing to bend, but not to break. Willing to hurt, but not to hate. Willing to lose, and still, somehow, choose to love the life that remains. Because survival is not just breathing. It's refusing to shrink. It's choosing again and again to become something larger than what tried to crush you. The truth is, the pain you survive can either harden you into a shell or carve you into something more whole. The choice was never about avoiding pain. It was always about who you would become because of it. So, if you are carrying a grief, a failure, a scar tonight, know this: you are not broken. You are being forged. And somewhere in the dark quiet of your becoming, a new strength is gathering, waiting to be born from everything that didn't kill you. Trust it. Hold it. Let it carry you forward. Because as Nietzsche reminds us, what doesn't kill you doesn't just leave you alive, it leaves you stronger.